let's officially start the meeting, but we'll slow walk it until we get a couple more. If it's okay, Montana, could you respond to one of the emails that I sent just to remind people that we're starting at 8 and we've started?
Yeah, of course.
Great. And I know Barbara may not make it, and Martha is going to be a little bit late. And I don't know where Thomas or Josh are, but they should be joining. Okay, so let's officially start the meeting at 8:05 on December 14th, 2023. This is the Cohasset Alternative Energy Committee, and in keeping with the open meeting laws, in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we are allowed to do this virtually, and so we are. Any votes will have to be done with a roll call vote, but we will remind everybody when we get there. In the meantime, we have a quorum, so we're going to officially start our Alternative Energy Committee meeting. First thing is welcome and introduction. So if we could go around, my name is Tanya Bodell. I'm the chair of the Alternative Energy Committee. And in my day job, I am a consultant in the energy industry.
I guess
Debbie
I'll go.
Cook, Vice
Hi,
Chair.
oh, sorry, Debbie.
You go, Steve.
I'm Steve, Steve Winter, longtime member of the committee.
Debbie Cook, new Vice Chair.
Congratulations, Debbie.
Thank you.
That's great. And I'm Chris Halverson, member of the committee for what, about almost a year now, Tanya? I sort of lost track of time. And recently retired.
And I'm Tom Daly, member of the committee and retired a year ago.
Or I should say though, just one more, sorry to add the commentary, but the new word for retirement is redirected. I'm not retired, I'm being redirected.
I was going to say retired, but still working.
Yeah. Sorry, Montana, didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries. My name is Montana Castle. I will be the new transition from Ginny Leclaire. I'm Cohasset Sustainability Planner and Grant Coordinator.
Yep, and I'm Ginny Leclaire. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator Consultant for the town of Hingham and Cohasset. And I will be transitioning out at the end of this month.
Really? We're out to where?
So I was a 1-year contract consultant for both towns with the idea of working for the communities to try to get them to see if they were going to establish sustainability offices and help them to establish those practices. I've worked for municipal government for, over 20 years in local government and helping them set up different sustainability offices for different communities. So this contract ends at the end of December, and I'm happy that that Cohasset is setting up an office and Montana is the lead, and Hingham is hiring a position as well.
Oh, great. And
Yeah.
so, Jenny, what does that mean for you?
I am looking at some other communities right now to do similar work. So, contract basis work with other communities. Yeah.
Great. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
You. Thank
And
you.
I'm a Cohasset resident, so you'll still see me around.
Oh, good. All right. Great.
I was going to say, we hope we continue to see you at the Alternative Energy Committee meetings.
Yes.
Well, maybe that means you could be on the committee some.
I could.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Absolutely. And Debbie and I have worked together on EcoFest, and we're planning EcoFest again, maybe slightly different. So I'll definitely be back in that regard to present to you.
Excellent. Great. All right. So thank you for the introductions, everybody. This is later on our agenda, but I don't think our website has been updated. So we should update to reflect the members, which I believe it does reflect the members, but last month we voted for the positions. So I'm the chair, Debbie Cook is the vice chair, and Martha Gengemini is the secretary. And so we should make sure that gets updated, but I have that on the agenda for later. All right. So we do have enough people who attended last meeting to approve the meeting minutes of November 16th, 2023. Once again, an excellent job by Martha and Debbie. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review, but I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to open up those meeting minutes. I think I sent them yesterday to review them. There are some action items that we'll talk through later, but if you could just review that, make sure we didn't make any silly mistakes or misspellings of names or represent something differently in the meeting than what occurred.
Tanya, could you send those to me? I did not get them.
Yep.
Thank you.
When we're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 16th, 2023.
Tanya, I didn't seem to get them either. I have several emails from the committee coming yesterday, but doesn't appear the minutes was one of them.
Did anybody get the meeting minutes?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, oh, no.
You didn't lose your mind.
I did too.
Okay. All
Although
right.
I can't find them right at the moment.
It's under agenda because I just kept resending on the email. So I'm gonna forward this to Steve. Steve, I have like 5 emails for you. What's the right one that I should be using?
Oh, here, I have them right here. I mean, I have your minutes.
All right, perfect. All right, so when somebody's comfortable making a motion to approve the meeting minutes. And Chris, I know you weren't there, right?
Right. I was not
So-
there.
Okay,
I was down under our kiwiing, which was a fabulous trip. I'll have to show you all some pictures sometime. Unbelievable.
all right. I'll tell you what, I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
You have it.
Thank you,
Second.
Tom. Any discussion? And it's all right. So hearing none, let's do a roll call vote to approve the meeting minutes. Tanya Bodell, aye.
Debbie Cook, aye.
Tom Daly, aye.
Steve Winter, aye.
All right, perfect. The minutes are approved unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Perfect. We will get those posted, and I think along with the October meeting minutes, which may not be up yet, but we approved those at the last meeting. Okay. Exciting times. So Ginny, I want to apologize because I had heard, but obviously the little birdie or birdies that were telling me this were not correct, that the last 2 weeks of December you're going to be taking off. And so I thought our last meeting was the last meeting that you were going to be working with us. And so that's why we shifted over to Montana. So I don't know if you're
No,
going to be away.
that's okay. Things have changed a little bit. I've had conversations last week with Martha, Art, and Michelle, and there's some funds left over in the grant funds. So we're just going to finish out those grant funds, which should be, the end of December, but with the holiday, it may even extend to beginning of January. So things are a little fluid right now, but just, trying to get all of the work done and delivered. So I will be sure to send, an email with an update to let you know that that I'm taking off, and here's my Gmail account. And in case you need to reach me, I'm not far.
Great. Perfect. All right. Well, that is what this agenda item is. So if we can get an update on transition with Montana and Ginny and what that transition looks like. And I know if Martha were here, she's been helping to effectuate that. But if you two could give us an update on where things stand, an update on some of the open items, Ginny, that you were working on, how that's being handed off to Montana. Montana, welcome to our committee again. Hopefully you're excited to be back, and you and I are going to have a meeting to talk through sort of how we can be very effective and continue to get stuff done. So I turn it over to Montana, and obviously Ginny, things that you have to contribute as well. So if the two of you could lead this part of the meeting, that'd be appreciated.
Sure. Montana, do you want me to kick it off with what I've been doing and how I'll be transitioning it to you?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So like I said, Martha has been a huge help, and I think it's such a great idea that you assigned someone from the committee to keep in touch with me, and I would recommend doing that with Montana. And what's been nice is, she just sends me reminders, check-ins, like how is this going? And it's just nice to have, support, right? So we met last Friday with Michelle, and which was fantastic, to try to get an update from her on a couple different items. I'll get into those in a minute, but for the transition, I'm going to be preparing a roadmap for Montana that will have all the contact information of everyone that I've worked with, all of the projects that I've been working on, and all of the information on those projects, suggestions, things I've learned along the ways, basically anything that I know. It's just going to be a organized brain dump into there, so that she will not have to go searching, hopefully, for information. It'll be all right there so she can continue. So that'll be a document. I can share that with the committee as well. And of course, Michelle. And then I'm going to put on a thumb drive. That's how Michelle asked me to get this information to you all, because I don't have access to the OneDrive. All of the files for Cohasset, everything I've worked on, put on a thumb drive, share it with you all, share it with Michelle. And then Michelle says that everyone who has a Cohasset email address, all the committee members, they should be able to access all of the files that I have, that I give to Michelle, that she's going to upload them to the OneDrive. So then you all would be able to access all of that information. I don't know if have you had that kind of access to information in the past through the OneDrive?
We have not used a OneDrive before.
Okay. This will be great. This will be great. And hopefully this is something that Montana can dump information in, Michelle can put information in, and I think it'll speed up the progress of some of these projects that we're trying to work on. That's been half the battle, is trying to get information. One other thing that I just want to mention is a great resource in the town is the facilities director and the assistant facilities director. And I've been keeping them in the loop with the Green Communities Project. They had never seen these reports before. I think it's really critical to continue to keep them apprised of what the committee's doing and vice versa. So to have dialogue with them. So that's how we'll handle the transition. And like I said, I'll send an email when I'm finally leaving you all and provide, some time frame in case you have questions. I'll give you a week's notice of that time frame. And so as far as projects that I've been working on, Green Communities has taken up a very large amount of my time. So we submitted that report December 1st for the annual report. Everything looked great in terms of the data that was in MEI, as well as the grant. Submitted that grant. I mentioned it last time for Osgood and Deer Hill systems, their EMS systems, to align them with the systems that are at the high school and the middle school. And again, facilities was super helpful. Another party that was super helpful was Tony Parente from Innovis. I don't know if you've worked with him in the past or if he's ever come presented to the committee. Just a really helpful person in terms of wealth of information, and that's who the facilities really relies on for getting quotes and energy information and energy data from. So he's another good contact that I'll put in this transition document, but somebody to definitely reach out to in the future.
Is he
Um,
town staff?
no,
Is
he's
he
not
a-
town staff. No, he's I guess I shouldn't say he's on contract. He is an approved vendor that the town works with on energy projects.
like
So,
what kind of energy projects?
so he's helped them with estimates for the high school, middle school project. He helped us with these estimates for the Osgood and Deer Hill projects. And then he helps them get, information and quotes for other projects that facilities works on. Roofing quotes and other kind of, different quotes. So he's very helpful. So the the other the other information that I'm to report on, I wish I had more to tell you. This has been very frustrating how slow this progress has been on several of these. But the NGrid group study, um, so I reached out again. I just sent an email again right before this meeting to Dennis McCaffrey with National Grid and the 160-day study. Uh, just to recap for everybody, that time frame was to suspend it, and we believe that in January we'll have a better idea of where we are. They opened the study. They believe that they're going to open the study again in December. So I just asked Dennis if they have opened that study yet. I'm not sure yet, but Dennis said to me when we talked over the phone that January we should have a better idea. Palmer Capital, I've been copying on all these
Hey, Jenny,
emails.
Jenny, is this the issue, the interconnect issue?
Yes, this is the interconnection issue. So Palmer Capital submitted an interconnection agreement or as on on January 30th of 2023 and again on April 20th of 2023, and they received screening memos back. This is for the project at 400 and 390, the buildings, the Stop and Shop buildings. And they've been put on hold due to this group study. So what we're trying to find out is when will this be active? When can they review our project? And from what Dennis said, we'll know more once this project gets going, if it opens up in December, and then we'll hopefully know more. And
So when you say open, the study is going to open up, that means that they would then consider us as interconnect, is that?
yeah, I believe that they would be
Yeah.
reviewing it again.
All right. I mean, is there any way we can find out what conclusions they drew from their study?
Yeah, so I emailed him again today, right before this meeting, And I copied Montana and Michelle and Tanya and Palmer Capital on it and just said, please keep this crew of people updated on any progress towards this.
Because this is a national
Really-
issue. I mean, this is occurring in a lot all over the nation. I'd be curious to see how National Grid sorts it out.
Yeah, National Grid has, starting 5 years ago, started to put the brake on solar projects behind the meter on the distribution system because they were happening fast and furiously, and they didn't know if their distribution systems could handle them. So what they started doing were studies, and they would do cluster studies looking at multiple projects at the same time. And this started in Western Massachusetts, where some of the build out was occurring first because of the lower cost land and wider availability. So it has come to the South Shore. They started a cluster analysis looking at the system and how much it could hold. Remember, Situate is 100% renewable at this point. They have wind, they have solar. There are some other towns. Hingham is a municipal light plant, but there are other towns that are serviced by National Grid on the same transmission line that we are connected to. And so what happens in Situate, what happens in Norwell is going to impact us as far as availability. And they do engineering studies. So they put a hold on all new interconnections until they could figure out what was in the queue, what needed to be built, whether or not they could do it without an upgrade. If an upgrade was needed, what would it cost? And just to put in perspective, 2 years ago, a proposal to put solar on the school roofs, the Osgood Deer Hill roofs, was submitted to National Grid. Before the cluster study, they came back and said, oh yeah, you have to pay $500,000 to interconnect, which of course kills the economics of any project. And again, this is a strategy that National Grid has done, which is they don't say no, they just say it's an exorbitant price. That doesn't make it work. As we pushed them on that, they backed up and said, well, actually, you're not the ones who have caused the problem. There are other projects that are in the queue that are creating the problem. So we just, need to work with you on this. And then they started a cluster analysis to understand what all of the projects are, what the potential availability is. I will also say our main feeder line that comes through Wampatuck Park is almost at full capacity. And the energy usage in Cohasset continues to go up. So there's an upgrade that's going to be needed at some point soon for that line. And I think they're trying to take that into account. They had transmission substation issues in between us and the high voltage transmission line that they had to upgrade. So there's all sorts of things that they're doing. It's a very old part of their system, and putting a whole bunch of solar on it doesn't work with it as it is. So there's a couple of things they have to figure out. What do we need to do the system so it's reliable? How much solar can it take? What's the cost and who pays for it? And it's sort of created a paralysis on new interconnections because of that.
Those are
The other
great
thing
questions.
The other thing that's in paralysis is when Martha and I met with Michelle, the town council review. I don't know if Martha's on yet. Our impression is that it's not even been presented to town council for review, and that's why we can't get an answer back as to where the status is. So Michelle is in an understanding, and we talked about this in the past, Tanya. Michelle's in an understanding that the owner is not interested at all in solar. And I've expressed that this is not the understanding that the Alternative Energy Committee has. We believe that he is interested in solar. So I asked her if she would send an email and copy us and let us know once and for all if he is interested or not, and to try to get to the bottom of this. So she said she would. If she did, I haven't been copied on that email. And I did
But
email her today to follow up to see if she sent that.
Right. We talked to Michelle about this. It doesn't matter if the Stop and Shop site is or is not interested. The credit agreement that Palmer Capital submitted could be used for credits from anywhere in the National Grid SEMA system. So to get a review, we have the opportunity to have a guaranteed savings of $7,000 a year for 400 kilowatts, more if we can get more from existing plants that are generating credits and have no place to put them. And
She's saying that he's not interested in solar at all, not a
it doesn't
carport,
matter.
not
It doesn't
solar
matter. It
on,
doesn't
not
have
solar
to
on
be,
his building.
it doesn't matter. It does not have to be on the Stop and Shop building for us to buy credits. If Palmer Capital can find credits in Norwell, if they can find a project that has excess credits in Taunton, if they can find a solar energy array that is being built and wants to sell the credits to somebody so they can get that revenue stream and we can get a guaranteed savings because we're buying the credits at a discount. We want to be able to do that. It's about saving the town money. And so the credit agreement that was submitted by Palmer Capital conceptually for purposes of the Stop and Shop building, it's a generic general credit agreement.
Okay,
And
so then,
that's what we're looking for a review on, so we can start bringing more savings to the town.
okay. So then I can say to her, she just needs to remove the Stop and Shop building as a name in that credit agreement. And it's a general credit agreement that needs to be
She doesn't
removed.
need to do anything. All she needs to do, and we talked to her about this, and I thought we had an understanding that this was why it would make sense to submit it to town council for review, regardless of what's happening with National Grid and the interconnection, regardless of what's happening with
Right.
Stop and Shop, regardless of what is happening with Palmer Capital. If they can't get us credits, somebody else can. And these are guaranteed savings. Basically, somebody gives us $1 of credit price reduction on our electricity bill, and we agree to pay them 88 cents for that. I mean, let's do the math. We get $1 worth of credit, we pay 88 cents for that. It is guaranteed savings for the town to be able to buy these credits at the prices that the market's trading at. So
And the solar is not necessarily in Cohasset that they're buying.
it does not have to be. It's a credit.
Right. Okay. Right.
purchase.
Right. That's what I want
We
to make
want
sure.
it to be in Cohasset.
Mhm.
We'd love for it to be in Cohasset. We'd love for it to be on the Stop and Shop building if that's what ends up working. But, you know, Palmer Capital gave us a credit purchase agreement. It is different than a power purchase agreement. It's a credit
Right.
purchase agreement.
Right.
And we
Okay.
need that to be reviewed. It's different than what town council has reviewed for us before. It's different than the power purchase agreement for the old landfill. So we had talked to Michelle about this. I explained this to her. She agreed this would be worthwhile moving forward. So I'm a little surprised
Yeah.
we're using
Yeah.
National Grid's delays and whether or not this
Oh,
can be sold
that's
on
not
Stop and Shop.
connected. That's not connected in this conversation. The National Grid delays that was
But that
separate.
was used as an excuse to the select board before.
Okay.
That's why we hadn't had this reviewed by town council.
Okay.
So
That's not what she said to me this time. That was just she was saying about Stop and Shop, the owner. Okay, so I will send her an email again right after this meeting. And
okay, you could copy me on these so
I
that
will. I'm
know
going to
what the
copy
comment is.
you and I'll copy Montana.
Perfect. Perfect.
So the next item was climate leaders.
Mhm.
So what's happening with that is, and this is up to the committee. So the climate leaders program, I had asked if DOER or MAPC could have someone come present on the special opt-in stretch code, which is a requirement of the climate leaders program. And I spoke with the building commissioner about this program and about the special opt-in code. And he'd be very interested in attending a meeting on this. He'd be very interested in and supporting having a meeting on this in a forum that would be the Alternative Energy Committee with other boards and committees. And he's very open to learning more about it. The difficulty we're running into right now is I believe I explained this at the last meeting, but MAPC and DOER applied for a grant where they could go community to community to present on this information, and they haven't yet received the funding back from that grant. They don't think it's going to be till March when they actually can come to the communities and do community presentations. But in the interim, there are 24 other communities that have adopted this. So I was going to look into see what those 24 communities are and who could be a peer community, and see if any of those communities might be interested in having a conversation with us, sustainability committee to sustainability committee at a future meeting, preferably, a January meeting. DOER offered to come and do a climate leaders presentation, which I think would be interesting as well. But I really think that the focus, should be on the special opt-in stretch code. And
So two things. We've already looked at the specials opt-in stretch code. Steve Wenner took the lead on that. And
Right.
we had a couple of people come talk to us about that.
Right.
So I don't know at this point, what is the status of the climate leaders program? Is it
It's
active?
still being developed. No, it's still being developed. In the terms of they have a rough estimate of how much money it'll be. It'll be about 15 to 20,000, they think, that communities will get for becoming a climate leader. There's, like I said, there's only 24 communities that have already adopted that special opt-in code. A lot of communities, they don't see being able to apply this year for this because you have to go to town meeting to pass different various like warrant articles for pertaining to vehicles, so it's like the next level of green communities. Yes, sorry, Steve, I see you have your hand up.
Oh, it's just I had some information recently about the specialized stretch code and the yeah. I had said sometime in the past that I couldn't really see a whole lot of difference between the specialized code and the stretch code. It turns out that there are a couple of differences. I think one is that new construction requires have a beefed up electrical system to be ready for total renewable energy. And that may not be in the stretch code, although the formal requirements for the amount of this, that, and the other thing on renewable is about the same, and the energy efficiency is the same. The HERS rating has to be the same. But I thought it was interesting that the report came out just a couple of days ago that about a quarter of the population of Massachusetts is now under the specialized code. There are enough towns have adopted the specialized code that a quarter of the population is under that, and then most of the rest is under the stretch code because of green communities, and just a small bit under the basic code. So I thought it was kind of interesting. We may want to revisit our decision about asking a town to spring for the specialized code based on what I've learned recently. There was a lot of confusion. I've had emails flying back and forth, and the experts were weighing in as to what the differences were, and I think we got it straight now. So maybe I'll prepare some comments and enlighten you in more detail, maybe at our next meeting.
That'd be great. And my question to the committee is, do you want DOER to come in January to present on the Climate Leaders Program?
So is it active? Because the website makes it look like it is final and it has criteria, and that there are towns that are.
Yes, it is active. When I asked before, they weren't ready to do presentations, but now they can come in January and do a presentation if you like. If you think that's worth your time. And the reason why I hesitate on that is because if you're not interested in adopting the special opt-in stretch code, then it's not really worth having DOER come do a presentation.
Well, I don't know if this committee would agree with it. I think it's definitely worth discussion. So I pulled this up, climate leader communities, and the criteria that you have to do extends beyond the stretch code. And I think there are a lot of things of interest here
Yeah.
for people in our group, right? You have to be a green community in good standing. That's what we are. We have to have a local body, like an energy committee. We do. Commit to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050. Our town has not done this, but this could be a motivation for why the town should consider it.
And that
Create
needs
a
to be a town
goal.
meeting vote.
Yes, of course. But it doesn't get to the town meeting unless we bring it to the select board and to the town and have conversations about it. And one of the rationales could be, we just received $1 million from the Green Communities Program, Part 1. This is a Green Communities Program, Part 2. Do we want to be in the game?
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a decarbonization roadmap. Debbie, I'm sure you're very interested about this, along with the other
Yes.
members of the committee.
And these funds, when I filled out the letter of intent that we were interested in this program, that's what these $15,000 to $20,000 funds will go towards, is helping the community create this kind of roadmap.
Right, and adopting a zero emission vehicle first policy, and then at the end is adopt the specialized opt-in building code. So Steve has been taking the lead on the specialized opt-in building code. We knew this was one of the components, but there are obviously other items right now that the town has not committed to that would be roadblocks for us, even if we adopted the specialized opt-in building code.
And one of those roadblocks, Martha and I talked about that, you know, we do have to do some convincing, Montana, of the town government right now is the zero emissions vehicle policy. When we were talking with Michelle about this, she was very hesitant about that. She said, well, we can't do that. And I explained to her that she was concerned about the police cruisers. And I explained to her how Hingham has just went to pretty much all hybrid electric or hybrid police cruisers. And she was hesitant to do that.
Well, let me just say, I don't know how anybody in this town can be hesitant or have a decision on whether or not we can do something if this committee has not done the research to inform
Yeah,
the decision.
absolutely.
Right.
So that's our
I
job.
apologize for
Oh, yeah.
interrupting, but I do need to leave.
Okay.
I'm gonna touch base with Tanya and Jenny next week. I'm sorry for the short introduction, but I had a prior engagement, so I apologize, but good luck with the rest of your meeting and I'll talk to you all next week.
Okay, thanks, Montana. So
Bye.
who are you turning this
Guys.
to?
Aye.
So we don't want to die before. Who are you turning this over to?
Oh, I turned it over to you, Tanya.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
perfect.
you should. Yeah, I'm gonna make you host right now.
Okay,
Good.
I'm
Does
the
it say
host.
something?
Yep, I'm the host now.
Awesome. Bye,
I don't know
guys.
what that means, but good. Okay, thanks, Montana. Okay, so I think I see Steve's hand is up, but is this committee interested in learning more about the Green Leaders Program?
Yes, I'm very strongly in favor of us learning about it. I can't see any excuse for not learning more about it.
Okay, does anybody have an excuse for why we shouldn't learn more about it? All right, so the answer is, Jenny, yes, we would like to
Okay.
have a meeting.
Excellent.
Explain to us what the Green Leaders Community Program requires, how they are funding, if they are funding some of this to make it happen in advance. Is that what the expression of interest is about that you had submitted?
Yep, so I already submitted that, and January 11th, is that the date that I can tell her that is our next meeting for her to come present? This is
If
second
that is the
Thursday in
second
January?
Thursday in January, then yes, that is when we meet.
Okay, great, great. Then and I will send her that. I will CC you, of course, and Montana on it. And then she recommends inviting to this meeting other boards and committees, Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, so that everyone can sort of hear all of this all at once, if you feel comfortable doing that, which I think is a good idea because you are already so familiar with this program, and I think would be beneficial not to just have this time just be with the committee.
Okay, so
Could
just,
could I make a suggestion?
go ahead,
Mhm.
Debbie.
I think that we should put that off.
Okay.
I think January 11th is too soon to mobilize other committees, and our committee, there aren't many people here. And I think our next meeting, we should, maybe Steve, you could tell us a little bit more about the differences of the opt-in code. And I mean, the other things I understand, but the specialized code and timeframes, and I mean, that's going to be real hang up to. I think we figured it was going to be like a year and a half, right? Almost to get that approved. Wasn't it like a year and a half? By the time you go through all the town meetings, and then you had to go through another approval. And I think there was, a couple of, right, Steve? As I recall.
Yeah, that's what we were saying, but obviously a lot of towns in Massachusetts have managed to do it in short order, so.
See, I thought that very few were doing it, so I'm shocked that a quarter.
Well, of
of
course,
population-
the big cities did it first, Boston and Lowell, and that would take a big hunk of the population. I said it was 25% of the population, not 25% of the 360 odd
No,
towns.
no,
Yeah.
I get that, but when you were saying about the differences, I just thought people were going to be laggards on it, but there must be substantial for people to jump through those hoops.
I guess a lot of towns think so. I didn't think so, or when we talked about it before, but I had found out about some significant differences, so I'll explain them next time.
So
right.
maybe, is that okay? We do talk about that at the next meeting, and then get our ducks in a row, and maybe February.
I think that's,
I have a question. If we, even if we wanted to make a rush job of this, is it feasible? What's the
No.
deadline for getting an article before town meeting, the annual town meeting?
I think January 20th is around the date, and you would want to do considerable education and outreach to boards and committees about the stretch code, as well as you have to evaluate. You also have to get the commitment for the resolution for eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050. There's a lot of education that you're going to
Yeah,
want.
but we don't have to do the education before we get the article before approved for town meeting. We just have to get the education all done before the town meeting.
Oh, before April?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the other town committees have to weigh in on it, so we have to educate them. But that just requires one meeting with them to explain it all. So it would be possible, I think,
Okay.
for us to write the article, which would be a very short article, just saying that
They have
move it down,
samples.
adopt the stretch code, the specialized code, and then educate the other town committees about it.
Yeah, there are samples of both of these online of both codes. Sorry, of the special opt-in stretch code, and then also a sample of the decarbonization one, and then the vehicle one as well.
I mean, I'm not pushing to say we should do it. I'm just saying I think it is technically possible to do without, really causing us big problems. I mean, think back when we were trying to get the aggregation program going. We got started in December, I think, didn't we? Before the next year's annual town meeting, and we got it on the docket on the warrant in January, and we're off and running. So it's possible to get it's not a huge pull, but if the committee wants to delay it, there's not a big problem with that. I mean, sure, if you think we need more time. But I do think we need more time in the sense that we're not sure we want to do it anyways. If we knew right now that we wanted to ask the town to buy in on the opt-in code, we could do it, but we're not convinced of that. yet.
Well,
So I think we
we're
need to
also
have a meeting with the DOE consultant about this new program and, make it, learn a little bit more as a committee about the differences between the opt-in code and the revised stretch code
Yeah,
and make a decision. So that would be at our January meeting, and then it wouldn't be enough time probably to get it in the warrant. So I guess I've come around to agreeing with Debbie that if we decide eventually we want to do it, let's shoot for the fall meeting.
Yeah, that way we'll come being a lot more educated and able to speak to it better.
would you like her to come in January to just present to your committee? And then a future presentation, maybe in February to multiple committees?
I thought you said that the recommendation is if they come to present, they want multiple committees attending.
They do, they do.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is also to be cognizant of your time. What I'm gonna send around also is a presentation that they gave on the program, which I think, just reading through this, you'll have a really good understanding of the program. It's it's not too in depth, but so I'll send that around as well.
Okay,
So,
but the point
whoops.
is the program is active. There are towns in the program. We are not. So when we discuss what one of our initiatives is going to be for 2024, this committee should decide. We have a committee, we have a group that's monitoring the opt-in stretch code. We have a committee that's focused on looking at a climate action plan, right? This feeds into that. We might have to create a committee that focuses on other requirements. But at the end of the day, leadership in the town is going to look to this committee for an informed recommendation on whether or not we should be part of the climate leader program. So I think this committee needs to educate ourselves on what that program looks like, how much money is involved, what are the pros and cons, and it feeds into some of the other initiatives that we have been doing and that we want to continue in 2024. So what's the timing on applying? Are
Yeah, so you would
towns
have to,
already members of the
so you would have to have a special code adopted by either January 1st or July 1st. So obviously we'd be looking for
why are those the deadline?
that's what it says online. I don't know. Effective date, January 1st or July 1st, that you would have a warrant article.
But I guess my question is, is it an active program or is it still under development?
It's an active program that communities who have adopted the stretch code will be applying to. Communities who've adopted the stretch code by January 1st, and there's 24 communities who've done that, will be applying to. So
But they also have to have a net zero
I'm
plan
confused.
and
The
climate
stretch
action.
code
the
or the
specialized
opt-in
code,
code?
opt-in specialized code, excuse me.
Okay.
But there's other criteria. So
There's
the
other
towns,
criteria. Yes, and so like, for example, as we know, Hingham had already done that 20 the decarbonization goal and they set one of 2040. So some other communities are already just have done these things and are already aligned with that. So we would need to get ourselves aligned with the zero emission vehicle first vehicle policy, which is a modification of the existing green communities that we have. And that basically says that you must adhere to having vehicles that are BEVs or fuel efficient. And there's different priorities, priority 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd have to have obviously a modified warrant article for that, and a warrant article for the eliminating on-site fossil fuel use. So there's a couple steps And then they provide you the funds for some technical assistance funds for a decarbonization roadmap.
Okay, so
I'm
we
a,
have submitted an expression of interest.
We have submitted an expression of interest. I can ask her to come in January or February. So maybe you talk about this at your January meeting in more depth, and then she comes in February and she presents to multiple communities, multiple boards and
When do
committees.
we hear if how they're going to respond to our expression of interest?
That is a good question. I do not know. And I was just on that part of the site and it did not say. But I'll ask her that question.
And
Okay,
what
but
is the
you're going
name
to
of it?
talk to
Oh.
Montana, right? So she'll know there's an expression of interest.
Yes,
We're
everything
waiting
I'm talking
here.
to you about now, I am CCing you and Montana, everything.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, Steve, your hand's up.
yeah, I'm a little confused about something you said. The Green Community's commitment for as far as electric vehicles go, unless they had changed it, is that the town agrees to replace any vehicle that they currently operate, any internal combustion engine vehicle that they currently operate with an electric vehicle when it comes time to replace that vehicle. Now,
Yes,
that does not require any kind of town meeting article to approve. That's simply an administrative decision. So I'm confused about what you say, that we have to go before town meeting with warrant articles on these various things. I don't understand.
so if you did not need to go in the past for the vehicles, then you probably don't need to go again for the
Oh,
vehicle.
you know, the town doesn't need the permission of the voters in Cohasset to decide what kind of vehicle to buy for the police department, say. That's an administrative decision.
Well, we probably need it documented somehow before the selectmen vote, or I imagine a thing.
No, that's
Isn't it a criteria for getting a grant?
It is, but some things have to go before town meeting and some things don't. Steve, you're probably right.
well,
That does not probably go
yeah,
before town meeting.
the budget items go before the town, but
But that would have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen and
but you don't say, you don't say in the budget item that you're going to purchase a particular make and model of car. You're just saying, $30,000 for a new police cruiser or something,
right.
Well, to get
So
the grant, how do we have to prove that we're on this path?
So you have to
just that
have a policy. So this is a zero emission first vehicle policy. So we already have a policy with green communities when we first became a green community. This is now a Green Communities 2.0. The Climate Leaders Program is the next step. So it's taking everything that we did to the next level. So it's taking the vehicle policy to the next level. So it's a zero emission first vehicle policy that's different than our original
And
policy.
so, Steve, the question is, how do we get a policy in place?
Well, I'm wondering, what is the difference? Years ago, when we signed on for green communities, we already committed ourselves to replacing our vehicles with electric vehicles. So what's different now?
Can I share my screen and show you this document?
Well, I don't know if we need to look at a document. I just,
Well,
We're going down.
it's kind of
a-
confusing.
Let's just
Yeah.
pull back, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, so
we're
this is the difference, is that it lists the priorities of the vehicles and that they must adhere to these different priorities. So it's more specific than the last iteration. Everything is going into the next step. Like now the special opt-in stretch code, this is going to the next step. Everything's taking it further.
All right, look, this is exactly the kind of detail that we need to explore to be able to make a recommendation about whether or not we think the town is ready to pursue this. And like I said, we have some committees already moving forward with some of the key requirements of a climate leader program, the Green Leader Program, including the zero goals, including the climate action plan and how to pursue that. The vehicles is a piece of it. We've been doing education on the specialized opt-in code. So again, I think we are partway there towards understanding it. It would be helpful to have somebody from the DOER come and present to us, or MAPC present to us, whoever is sponsoring this, so that we can create that relationship and let them know about our interest. It'd be nice to know what the expression of interest when that is going to come back to us, because it sounds like there could be funding and pros and cons. Having been involved peripherally when we went forward with the Green Communities Act, it's not a slam dunk in this town. This, even though we ended up getting, I hope, around $1 million from the green communities. When we first went to the town and said, look, there's grant money if we become a green community, the first response was, we don't need the money. So if we have to do something difficult to be a green community, we're not going to do it. And so Sean Selha was able to move it forward in a very clever way. He got the unanimous support, or almost unanimous support, of the town meeting with respect to the adopting the stretch code. By the time we got to that point, there wasn't much difference between the actual code and the stretch code.
Right.
And we had to do an as of right citing so there were things we had to do that the town was not wholeheartedly buying into, and it was championed by this committee. And I anticipate it's going to be the same thing. So this committee has to understand what the requirements are, has to understand the politics in this town, appetite. We want to do a survey to understand where the town sits with a climate action plan with respect to net zero goals. So that's already in the works. It's another rationale to bring to the select board about why we should be able to do this survey, why they should want us to do this survey. So I think we need to understand what's required. We can do our own reading. We're already well on our way. I do agree with Debbie. January 11th is not going to be enough time to get members of other committees on board, just given the holidays. So we can postpone to February 11th. And I would say, let's just make the connection and give us the opportunity to coordinate on a time frame that makes sense. We also are going to be going to the select board in January with a set of initiatives that we're going to discuss tonight. So, we have a couple of asks coming, and we just need to be careful we don't ask for too much too quickly. Does this make sense as an approach for the committee?
Yep.
I
Yep.
just step away for a second.
Sure. We still have a quorum, so we can keep talking without Chris, which is nice. So I think,
Okay.
Jenny,
I
if
got my
you could
marching
just
orders. Yep.
make the recommendation, I think let's not jump into, hey, can you come talk to us on the January meeting? If they want to have other committees involved and that makes sense, we need to socialize this, and we need time to socialize this. And we can't jam it into January 11th and expect anybody to show up
Okay.
given the
That sounds good.
holidays.
And then the last thing that I have to report, and then I'll let you guys get on with the rest of the meeting, is I have been talking with Michelle as well about the Mass CEC grant, and she said she was going to email them and she was going to copy me on it and Martha. I haven't seen that email, but I did follow up with her again to ask her if she sent it. And Martha and I both reminded her how it's due at the end of this month and how it needs to be wrapped up. She has some contractors that she's been talking with, but the problem that she's encountered is that the Legion needs a lot of electrical upgrades. That would be actually more than the grant funding. So she is now wants to reach back out to Mass CEC to ask to move the project once more to the teen center, the recreation center next to the Red Lion in the parking lot where the electric vehicle charging station is. Which I think this is actually a really great location. Could be a great location to build a resiliency hub. It's in the center of our town. It's safe from flooding, as opposed to the Legion. It's
Actually, it's not. The 100-year flood zone is in the town parking lot.
okay. It's
Right
safer
where that
than
is.
the Legion. but it has a great flat roof that could be a potential for solar. It already has a lot of amenities to create a resiliency hub. So she is going to make the pitch for that. And I emailed her again today and asked her where she is on that. So if I hear back from her, I will forward that on to you guys.
Okay, great. I'm just going through the action items on the minutes under your name, Ginny, and so just checking to make sure we've got everything. Have you made any progress on understanding where the town's allocating its electricity credits?
Yeah, so I still need to email, sorry, that fell off my radar. And I was just reading the minutes that you sent during this meeting. I apologize for that. So I have an email that I'm composing right now to Denise about that.
Okay, and do we know what the town's current electricity rate is? And
That
when
I have to ask
it
her that as
expires?
well. Yeah, I have to ask her that as well.
Okay, and
The National Grid fleet assessment should be completed tomorrow, if not Monday.
oh, so that is underway, but
Yep.
it's stalled?
No, that's the work that I'm doing to, it's only, I have to finish it. So that's the work of analyzing the current vehicles and then adding in the additional data. So I'll be finished with that probably tomorrow, if not Monday, and send that off to National Grid for their final blessing on it.
Okay, so National Grid's doing the fleet assessment, but you're providing them the data.
Yes, and it's actually ICF. They've contracted with ICF, so I've been working with somebody from there. But and again, all this information I'll CC Montana on.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Cool. Well, Ginny, thank you for all your help and on helping us
I
move
apologize. I
forward with
really
all
I
these
feel,
initiatives. So we
well,
appreciate the
thank you.
update.
I wish that they were moving faster and further than they are, and I feel very frustrated that this has taken so long on so many different topics. And I can only imagine how frustrated you all are as committee members to sort of hear the same updates every time.
We practice patience.
Yes.
Yeah, but
you
we
guys do.
also created lots of money for the town in our tortoise sort of way.
You do. You do.
I mean,
Yes, we do.
yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It goes slow, but when you look in the rearview mirror, it's pretty amazing what this committee has accomplished.
It is. And
We are persistent.
part of my roadmap is a list of everything that I've worked on over this past year. So hopefully you can add that into your 2023 look back and next steps.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Climate Action Plan Subcommittee. Any updates?
Well, I mean, basically, I think we're on hold until we get the survey approved, right? And the one pager that we developed, and get that all, and then I'm ready to gear up and get going on, getting it disseminated. And so I think, but I don't really want to talk about it with, people like Justin or anything until it's all been approved, and then we'll get going with Justin and, and start getting the QR code and everything developed, and, all the things we need to do. And it shouldn't take that long to pull that out.
Deb, is this? I think I missed something last meeting. Is this a survey to gauge the interest of the town? What?
Yes. Yeah, it's a survey
Jenny.
that asks, basically to get people's feelings about, what they actually think about the need for climate action plan, and also just some general feelings about, climate change itself. I mean, it's and then the last part is to ask if people want to be involved in, helping in various aspects. So Tanya's got the survey.
It looked like we were going to be able to present it to the select board in December at their meeting, and they had so much going on, they did not put us on the agenda. But Jean has said she is going to put us on the agenda in January. And I've also asked for firm dates on a quarterly basis in advance that they can just make sure we have the ability to present to them, because our charter says we have to do quarterly presentations and we're having trouble getting on the agenda. So we are supposed to have an opening in January, and I actually prefer it this way. We were ready to give our simple ask on the survey alone, but I think in the greater context of what we did in 2023, what we want to do in 2024, what the Green Climate Leaders program is about, what's required, that this creates more context and support for asking for permission to do a townwide survey. Ginny, you have your hand.
Yes, so Martha is in the waiting room, and she would like to be promoted. She needs to be promoted to panelist so she can speak and be viewed. Doran is also in there as an attendee, and so is Stephen Girardi.
Oh my God, I need to, okay, so now how do I let them? And so how do I?
Okay, so go to participants and then click on attendees.
I see, and I just
You can
promote them, right?
promote each one of them.
Okay, so this says allow to talk.
Allow to talk and then allow to video.
Okay,
And then
welcome.
can you see them?
I can see them now.
Yeah, you might have to allow them to use their video.
Thank you, Jenny. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can
We
hear you.
can
Sorry,
now, yeah.
Martha.
Hey, everybody. I've been listening.
I know I've been talking about you so much. Do
Thank
you have anything to add?
No. Thanks.
All right, so I just gave you permission to talk, but I did not promote you to panelist.
I think you have to do that so we can see them.
Well, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and I didn't see that as an option under the attendees.
So it's like listed under on the right if you click. I can't do it, otherwise I would do it for you.
No,
If
I
you need me a co-host, I could do
see
it.
it, but what I'm trying to,
Do you want me to make me a co-host and I can do it for you while you talk?
okay, hold on, let me just,
You don't need to see me. It's fine.
all right, we'll just, you know what, for purposes of being able to move forward, we can hear you. Doran, you're also
Yep.
able to,
Can you guys hear me?
yes, good to hear
Yeah,
your
okay,
voice.
great. Yep, I'm here. I've been
Excellent,
listening
and
as well.
excellent, and Steve, always a pleasure to have
Thank you.
you at your favorite committee. Steve is the former chair of this committee. So, all right. Okay, so we have, I apologize, I wasn't able to promote you to participant, but we can hear you. So hopefully we can continue the conversation, and just for expediency, hope you don't mind if we don't give you video. Okay, so good update from the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee. Debbie, I think that's the right move. And I think we have a great opportunity to provide good context for the ask about sending out a survey. And it just makes more and more sense as we continue to think about what we're going to be doing in 2024 and why. Okay, so next on, any questions to the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee before we move on to look back at 2023? Okay, so for the 2023 look back, I think what I wanted to do was bring up, and I had brought this up before, it is in the meeting minutes from our May meeting. Just the list of the items that we asked or suggested to the select board that we would be moving forward with. I want to bring that up just so that we can look at what we did in 2023 and see the context in which we present this to the select board so that we can have an informed discussion about what we want to do for 2024. And what we want to do in 2024 obviously is not just about what we want to pursue in our passion projects, which we fully embrace, but also what are the opportunities that the state and the federal government and the markets are providing. Because timing, of course, is everything, and often we, well, always we don't control the timing, but we can try to control the timing and keep skating towards the puck as we do. So I'm going to bring up our meeting minutes from May, which I believe has the select board presentation from April of this year, where we gave the list of what we wanted to pursue. And then we're going to talk about where we are in all of those things. And some of them, I believe, are going to carry over into 2024. Let me just go back. Hold on. All right. Woo. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. And I need to get to the list of what we said we wanted to do. I apologize if people are getting dizzy. So it's probably near the front. Okay, initiatives for 2023. So we provided a presentation to the select board, talked about progress we had made. We are considered one of the top 20 greenest. And then we have a slide that lays the context for our initiatives. We're going to have a similar slide for 2024, and it might be 2 slides because there's a lot happening. Our initiatives for 2023 that we presented to the select board in April are initiatives focused on saving the town more money. As you know, our philosophy is there's 2 types of green, and we like to pursue both of those. The first are the solar energy array savings. Look at that, bullet point number 1. Work with the town to finalize a solar credit contract with Palmer Capital. It says nothing about Stop and Shop roofs. Coordinate with any municipal buildings that have area or are replacing the roofs. Work with the schools to look at a bus depot, microgrid, monitor national grid cluster study that currently delays any new solar. So let's just quickly go through this. On the solar energy array savings, as you know, we have been trying to work with the town to finalize a solar credit contract, still to do. I think it would be worthwhile to carry that over into 2024. Coordinate with any municipal buildings that are replacing the roofs. We'll talk about the Green Roofs program, but I think that continues to be a focus of ours. Work with schools to design bus depot microgrid. Obviously with Taylor, she's taken the lead on that. I don't think we necessarily have a role on that, given that we now have a place for the electric school bus, and the school's going to do what the school's going to do with respect to a bus depot. So that seems to have sort of run its course, left the depot, driven down the road. We can use all sorts of analogies. And then we are continuing to monitor the national grid cluster study that currently delays any new solar. So some of these carry forward. The electrical vehicle charging stations, we are continuing to track usage and cost to the town, follow up with the town on charging protocols, costs, and benefits. If you recall, at the beginning of 2023, there was no charge happening. No fees were being charged. We made a recommendation with that. We are now monitoring what's happening, and what we do see is a very high elasticity of demand we're adding a cost to obtain the electricity from the town electric vehicle charging stations is seeing a significant drop off in usage. So we will probably continue tracking in 2024 and maybe make a recommendation in the town on what to do. I will also note, I think the price we're charging at 22 cents is higher than what the town is paying. The stretch code we have as an initiative in 2023. Steve took the lead on educating the town about the new building codes, and we needed to get educated ourselves. And at that point, sort of put on hold. It may be useful to sort of dust that off in the context of Green Leaders Program. Zoning bylaws, we helped the ZBC look at the zoning bylaws, that there will be ongoing activity on that going forward into 2024. Climate action plan, carbon inventory, we are continuing to explore the next steps with the recommendation. That's what the climate action plan committee is doing. And we now have potentially a bigger context. And then grants is working with Ginny to optimize the grant writing process and obtain grants. So we did ask for a budget of town council time. They said that was fine. It doesn't matter if we have a budget if we can't access them directly. So I think we can still express our concerns, especially in the context of this first bullet. So many of our initiatives for 2023 carry over into 2024. Do people agree?
Mm-hmm.
That, is there anything we want to knock off or anything we aren't interested in pursuing that continues?
I think everything should go forward. Except, as you said, the buses, for now. I mean, there may be a point where we want to expand the fleet, but that's premature right now.
Right. Okay, Steve, your hand's up.
Yeah, so I guess that doesn't make a lot of sense to try to pursue any solar projects until National Grid completes their study. And is that correct?
I don't know. I think it doesn't hurt for us to stay active in the market, to put out requests for proposals, to keep monitoring pricing and opportunities, especially in the context of the Green Roofs program, which we'll talk about in a moment for 2024. If the school roofs get replaced, we definitely want to pursue solar.
Oh, okay. I see. These are just what we've been working on this year, and all right. So maybe for 2024, we'll have that as a project. Okay.
Yeah, I think if we back off, National Grid will too.
Hey, look, I think if we hold their feet to the fire, if we get a green roof grant,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
we find that, it just makes economic sense to move forward, and the schools are hot and heavy to replace the roofs, and it's time. Finally, it is time. The roofs are now 20 years old or older. So I guess these are 2023. I think a lot of these carry forward and would be in our list of, this is what we're going to continue doing. Some of it's just, good hygiene, monitoring what's happening with EV charging stations, keeping track of what's happening with our existing solar energy array, continuing to monitor and identify opportunities when roofs are replaced to be able to put solar on the roofs. So the library has a new roof. We did receive a bid from Select Energy, and it didn't have huge savings. But again, we might want to revisit that as part of a bigger RFP if we put that out to bid. So, okay, so that's 2023. Any other comments on this? We are with the electric school bus, which isn't even on here. That's one of our priorities because we're very opportunistic when we can. I think the tally on this in April of 2023, we had brought the town 1.6 million, not counting energy efficiency savings. I think this is now up to 2 million if you count the grants that are associated with the electric school bus, and if you include the 190,000 that we hope and expect to get from the Green Communities Program for the regulation. So we'll update these numbers to include what we know with respect to the Green Communities Grant and what we know with respect to the electric school bus. But I think we're at 2 million at this point and counting. And that 400,000 is ready to go if we can make the projects work. Those are those. So, and there might be others. So I think, again, there's opportunity to get more grants. The money is there. It continues to be that money machine. If you do what the state wants you to do, if you do what the federal government wants us to do with respect to alternative energy. And so I guess let's talk about 2024.
Hey, Tanya, it would be helpful for me just to remind myself what is in that the Green Communities grants, the $850,000. I can't pull it up as to the detail. Is there somewhere you can point me?
Yep. So there, if you look at Green Community, I'm going to try to pull up right now. Let me see. There's an online list.
Yeah, it's the projects that I was talking before about with the high school and the middle school, with the energy, with the EMS systems for the schools to create a synchronized program for the heating and cooling. So it was building controls for those buildings. That was what we applied for last year.
Is that part of the 890, 857?
Yes. So, well, no, that doesn't include the latest one that we just submitted, that Ginny submitted in October. So the 850,000 or so from the Green Communities include a lot of energy efficiency, changing out light bulbs at the schools, improving efficiency, and then sort of the grant opportunity of the day became regulation equipment. They realized in a lot of these schools that had different systems, the air conditioning was fighting with the heating system. And so there was equipment that could be installed that allowed them to communicate with each other, so that if the air conditioning was going on and making it very cool, you could actually turn that off instead of turning on the heat to control the temperature. It sounds so silly, and yet apparently the Cohasset schools were not the only schools that had this problem. And so that's where a lot of the Green Communities grant money started coming. So we did get that for the high school, middle school, and the grant, which is, I think, our last opportunity to get money from the Green Communities program, because we're sort of at our limit. That grant was submitted in October by Ginny, and it is to get the same type of equipment for Deer Hill and Osgood.
Did I ask, do you know what kind of energy savings those controllers at the high school made? I mean,
we don't, and that's what I'm saying. That the $2 million that we've brought into the town does not include the lower costs on energy consumption associated with the energy efficiency measures that we've been able to receive.
We have projections for the Osgood and Deer Hill of how much electricity that will save for both schools. And and then we have a projections for cost savings as well. So
but you had actuals for the high school, right? I mean, weren't there? I mean, we've had it for about a year or more.
But it's hard to know what it would have been because the weather changes. So you can't just take historicals. You need about 4 worlds. You need an alternative to know what the savings are.
I just have a little question here. I'm surprised that the HVAC controllers are so expensive. $186,000 for controllers. Is that reasonable?
That's pretty typical.
Is that typical? Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot.
It's more, yeah, it's more than a controller. It's, there's AI involved.
So
Okay.
Tom, do you know statistically about how much a system of, and you could, of a certain size might be expected to save?
No,
I
it's really, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. You can roughly say maybe 18% if it's, really good. But you got to figure out what the degree days are, and you got to balance the before and the after to really figure it out. It's a hard math problem.
We had to do all of that for green communities. So we have that information, Debbie. So like for Osgood, it's 37,510 kilowatts of electricity, 2,803 therms. I can send this to you so you don't have to write this down. Of natural gas. This equates to $4,905 in natural gas savings and $3,564 in electricity savings per year. And then for Deer Hill, do you want me to rattle off those numbers?
No, let's not get into the details.
So I can send you those numbers, Debbie, if you would like to see those.
Yeah.
The point is that the savings seem very minimal compared to the cost of the equipment. So I'm just, not that we're paying, we're getting a grant for the equipment, of course, but still, I mean, how could you justify that on a return on investment point of view?
Well, when quickly, for example, you're not burning natural gas because you're using electricity to air condition. I mean, you're not tempering your AC with your heat. It's, there's more to it than just the cost of the block
all
that
the
goes on the board.
all the externalities.
It's also the
I mean,
quality.
abusing the environment.
Oh, yeah. From a climate perspective, I'm fully behind it. It's just that if I were a hard-nosed capital investment guy, I would just make sense in dollars and cents.
I don't think we have the numbers to make a determination on that.
It's really hard to do. Yeah, we don't.
It's also the comfort level. The students are very
obviously the state's making the decision.
Yeah, like the students are constantly on days at Osgood and Deer Hill, especially Osgood I can speak to because my daughter's there right now, and she wears short sleeve shirts all winter long. It's very hot in those rooms, and they'll be able to control them from their phones, so they'll be able to see which rooms are hot, and they can set those remotely, and they can control them on snow days remotely. Like Tom was saying, the AI part of it is incredible.
So Steve, your hand's up. Did you have another question?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, so Chris, to answer your question, here's a list of all the grant funds that we
thank you very much.
the Green Communities program. We'll put this into the back of the meeting minutes. Obviously October 2023, we have another submission. We're expecting the grant to come out in January 24 or February 24 for around the same amount, the 188,600. We've asked for the exact same equipment for the Deer Hill and Osgood School. What's interesting, and I've not done a detailed analysis because in a way I don't want to know the answer. I don't think it would be helpful for us as a town to publicize this, but you can see we've been very diligent in going after Green Communities grant money. Other towns, and I'll just go down, have not, right? So for 8,000 people, we have really squeezed as much out of this program as we possibly can. And other towns have not gotten to $1 million. So we've hit sort of the top. Look at Dennis has one application. So, we've sort of hit the max of what we're going to be able to get. And I think that's where the argument for seriously looking at the Green Leaders program comes in. We've done a great job at getting our $1 million. We've been told we're not going to get any more after this submission. And so if we want to continue doing this, we need to seriously look at whether or not the town has the appetite to do a net zero goal with a climate action plan and adopt the stretch code so that we can be green leaders. We are not in the position to do that now, but we have done an expression of interest that could give us some grant money to pursue some of these other things. And then we can do that. But I think that very well could be one of the 2024 priorities, which is explore what's required, what's needed, and the appetite in the town for being part of the Green Leaders Program.
Is it the Green Leaders Program or the Client Leaders Program or Climate?
Oh, sorry, Climate Leaders Program that we've been talking about.
And they anticipate that kind of money being available in this program, but it's like a little seed money to get started with 15,000. I mean, that is such a small amount compared to what was awarded.
It
Green
is.
Communities.
And the webinar that I just sent you all, it's very falsely advertised in there that it says $200,000. That's not $200,000 per community. That's $200,000 they have for the whole program, and the $15,000 to $20,000 per program, I agree, is very, very little. And there's a grant proposal in January that that's the TAP, the Technical Assistance Program through MAPC. And again, that's the same amount of money. It's like 15 to 20,000. So I'll be talking to Montana about if there's anything that, you know, we want to apply for, but it's hard to, these smaller grant money are hard to get something going. It's great to finish off a project, but it's hard to start something.
Let
So
me
you're
just note,
saying
though,
we're doing all of this for $15,000 and that's, or there's a big pot after that? I'm not clear.
I'm saying that that the state and and other grant programs keep offering these small pockets of money of $15,000, $20,000, and it's really hard to put together a proposal for such a small amount of money. So what you almost need to do is have a strategy where you're going to start a proposal, or if we already had a project going, that we could top it off with this 15,000.
and
So
Ginny,
it's
the question is, do we know how much money is in the Climate Leaders Program
15 to 20,000 per community.
per community? But I will say, this is what we need to research and understand.
Right.
And when the Green Communities Program started, that was all they had too.
Yep.
And that's where the town was originally like, why would we do this for $15,000 to $20,000? It's not worth it. But I
Yeah.
think we need to understand, is it really 15 to 20, or are they going to use this as a vehicle for getting the towns to continue to go down the decarbonization route? And
Right.
even if they don't, does it pay to be a first mover to try to get that money when it's available, knowing that at some point the state is going to mandate decarbonization so
Exactly.
that
So
it can meet its goals?
what what I was going to propose to Montana is to see if we could use this TAP money, this technical assistance money from MAPC as like a starting base for a decarbonization roadmap, and then use the use the Climate Leaders Program money to help finish that process. There's a couple of things I need to look into with that. One, to make sure that that wouldn't disqualify us from getting technical assistance from the Climate Leaders Program if we've already started and had some assistance from another body, and to also see if the TAP program, if that could roll into it like that. But that was one idea for this funding.
But I think, again, the town looks to this committee to make recommendations on what to do when it comes to alternative energy and grant programs. So it seems with this Climate Leader Program in place and the requirements that are part of that, do we want that to be a 2024 initiative?
Fits in with your
Exploring
climate program, with your climate goals of creating a climate action plan.
well, there's a whole strategy behind this, which I think Debbie is going to start smiling about. In going to the town to make a recommendation whether or not we should move forward with a climate action plan and net zero goals, we now have the ability to do that under the argument that we just got $1 million in grants from the Green Communities program. We can't get any more money there. There's a Green Communities Program 2.0 program out there. We anticipate that there's going to be money. We don't know how much. In order to access that money, like we did with the Green Communities Program over the last 8 years, we need to be able to, we have to do the following things. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yep, that sounds right.
Including the climate action plan, including net zero goals. So again, our next step in our ask is we want to put out a survey to understand if there's appetite in this town to pursue that. But the other thing we need to convey to the select board is this isn't just about getting grant money, it's about good governance. The Commonwealth has net zero goals. The Commonwealth wants to be net zero by 2050. The Commonwealth wants to only allow for the sale of new cars and electric vehicles by 2035. So the Commonwealth has these goals. The Commonwealth has been using towns and municipalities to implement the goals. And if we are going to ignore that reality, is that really the right thing for the town of Cohasset to do? Or do we recognize that the Commonwealth is moving in a direction, we need to move in that direction, and we should position ourselves to do that while there's money to help us move in that direction?
Exactly. That's a perfect strategy.
Mhm.
I just cannot imagine anybody will protest that strategy.
Right. I mean,
it just makes
we
sense.
see the handwriting on the wall, but if we're in the lead, you know, we're going to get, there's advantages to being in the lead and not having it, you know, pushed on us.
And
So,
we've proven that in the past that we can get ahead of the game. So let's continue it.
yep,
That's
we
right.
all agree. Yep.
And grab the money. We are very good at grabbing the money.
All right.
And-
So should we look at 2024 then?
Yeah, so let's look at 2024. What do people want to be our priorities for 2024? Assuming the stuff from 2023 we're going to carry over, some of that we're going to carry over. Are there other opportunities we see happening in 2024 that we want to be focused on?
So how did you characterize our Climate Leaders Program goal for 2024, Tanya?
So I would say the goal for 2024 would be to understand and make a recommendation with respect to Cohasset's participation in the Climate Leaders Program.
Right. And when people say it's only 15 grand, we can point them to the Green Communities Program and say that's where it started too, and we got $1 million from it.
Yep.
Mhm.
But don't forget, we also have to, you know, meet those criteria. So we've got to make recommendations on
Yep.
going forward on those.
Yeah, so the
those different
sub-point to
categories.
Tanya's thing would be exactly that, then sort of a
Huh?
your point is the sub-point to Tanya's bigger point.
Yes.
And you know what? It's nice to put it in that, but those would be also part of their 2024 focus, and we already have committees looking at those. But if we are going to move forward with the Climate Leaders Program, understanding it to make a recommendation to the town, we also have to understand and be able to make a recommendation on, do we want to, how do we go net zero? Like, if the Commonwealth is going net zero by 2050, why aren't we jumping aboard?
Well, that's what the Climate Leaders Program will help you do. It helps organize you in a way with an incentive, a carrot, to meet these goals that the AEC already has. And it helps organize you with a decarbonization roadmap and all these other steps for the town to take to get to that goal. So it's going to help push the town forward faster with funding as well.
Right. And we're using that as the vehicle to do that. But I think we have to be clear to them that these are the requirements. We meet half of them already, and the other half are doable. Other towns have done them. 24 towns have done them and are going to be the first movers in this program, and they're going to get the first grab at the money. We are not in a position to do that right now. But for us to make a recommendation at the end of by the end of the year, before the end of the year, on whether or not the town should pursue what needs to be done to be part of the Climate Leaders Program, we have to do a deeper dive into each of those other items, which we've already been doing. So it's a continuation. We already have, as you saw in 2023, understand what a climate action plan requires and whether or not the town should pursue one. Right. So I think what Chris's point is, by focusing on the Climate Leaders Program, we get those sub points thrown in as well, implicitly.
We're
Right.
going to be doing this work anyways, so why not get money for it? This is the work that the AEC is going to be doing anyways.
Right.
Going to be
Well,
working towards these goals.
this is what we're talking about, which is this the work that AEC is going to be doing in 2024? Because we have to, as a committee, want to put together the list of our priorities and then get permission from the select board to do that.
You've
Okay,
already
is
been
there
working
anything?
a lot of it.
We have been working on it already.
Yeah.
Right.
Is other stuff happening? Yes, Steve.
Want to make sure that you put in there that we're going to continue to pursue the solar opportunities. And that's not explicitly listed there in the 2023 items. So,
Okay, yes. So on that, we do know, we think that the Commonwealth is going to implement a green roofs program that provides funding, and I think it comes from the infrastructure bill, that provides funding to schools to replace the roofs to make them solar ready. We also know that the IRS recently issued an opinion that if you replace a roof as part of the program to install solar, you get the 30% investment tax credit as a reduction to the cost of the roof replacement. And we also know that all of the schools need to replace their roofs.
we want to be sure that we include those arguments in 2024 priorities.
Yes, so we want to continue to pursue solar energy arrays on any roof that's going to be replaced, and to the extent there is a program such as green roofs where we can get additional funding to replace the roofs as part of making them solar ready and install solar on them as part of the replacement of the roofs, we want to pursue that too. The school committee is going, I believe, is going to send us a letter requesting our assistance with this. So that will be part of our justification to the select board as well, which is the school committee has reached out to us to officially ask us, the Alternative Energy Committee, to help them with understanding and pursuing the grant funding under the Green Roof Program. So I think solar energy arrays, and then as a subset of that, but it's a big subset, the Green Roofs Program. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we do green roofs separately, but it is part of the solar energy array initiatives. Okay, so I agree. I think that's great, Steve, for 2024. We'll continue to do that. Okay, so green roofs and solar energy arrays, another biggie for 2024. We're going to be busy. Hope you don't mind. Okay, what else? Any other good ideas? Passion projects?
Mine is residential decarbonization education.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What does that look like, Debbie?
So that looks like something, even independent of, independent of surveys or anything. It's something we can start right now and do. I think actually, Tanya, you and I talked about this the other day. We were talking about it. We had a little lunch, and we were talking about maybe actually inviting speakers to our meetings and then publicizing them and using them if they were talking about heat pumps or various things that we wanted to educate people about. They could either attend our meeting, or we would put it on Cohasset 143 and build an educational program about that. so we can get some, mileage and along the way, but put it as part of our meeting rather than a freestanding event that might, that we would have to do a lot of work publicizing. So this way, it's kind of half done for us by having them come and talk to us. And then we could ask them questions. That was the other thing, so we could have some questions that we could, and make, as I said, something that they will be able to put on Cohasset 143 afterwards. So,
And on our webpage. So it's sort of like the series we did on microgrids, where we had tour of 6 different microgrids, and we recorded those and then we posted them on our webpage. And it was part of a education program surrounding what's a microgrid, what does it look like, here are examples. But what I think you're proposing, and this seems like it's not a heavy lift, is we invite vendors and informed players who can share with us what pumps are and how you can install them and how much they cost if you're going to get mass save money. We might have also, as part of that, I know Steve Girardi showed us his microgrid, so there might be people in Cohasset who have heat pumps and they can talk about their heat pumps. But basically have a topic that we record. It's a meeting and it's an agenda and it's an open meeting law. We have to have a quorum for it to happen, and then we have a guest speaker come focused on a topic that educates residential end users about how to improve their efficiency and look at alternatives. Right, Debbie? How do people feel
Right.
about that as an initiative for 2024?
I think that's an excellent idea. It's shocking how little so many people know about the options out there. I'm just wondering how we market the education. How do we get the word out?
well, my whole feeling is, that you invite them in the town managers. The nice thing about this is that this will be an easy lift to get in the town manager's weekly email. And then, Cohasset 143, we can put blurbs in too.
The anchor.
And the anchor and things like that. The only logistic we'd have to figure out is basically, how to get, they may not actually be able to attend the meeting. We may actually have to write articles about it and refer them to YouTube or whatever, because they won't be able to come into our meetings. So that's the one logistical issue. So I think it's more of an avenue where, we can ask questions, and and have dialogue with these people, and it's like we're making our own little program, and then we promote it and write educational things about it.
Debbie, I wonder if a small part of this program might be to encourage people to sign up for the premium 100% renewable energy aggregation plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could do something on that too. Yeah. I mean, we can come up with a bunch of, a series of things. And I think Tanya and I, we were envisioning, like a half-hour program, something we kind of keep within that frame that would fit nicely on TV, be on the YouTube channel and other things. But the value of it would be just the information that we can, put in as we're describing this show, that for people who will never tune in, we can summarize things and write articles. Does that make sense?
But it's available. So it's generating content.
It's generating content. Yeah.
Educational content.
Yeah.
And it's squarely within our mission.
And bringing it to making it more easily accessible to them, rather than them having to, seek us out or come to something and publicize an event kind of thing.
So Debbie, would you anticipate we'd have sort of so now we have a guest speaker usually for the first half hour to 45 minutes, and then we do business. Would you anticipate that we'd have a standalone meeting with the guest speaker for say 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'd have a separate meeting focused solely on business? The updates and the things that we do outside of our guest speaker. Would you anticipate that in 2024 we'd have 2 meetings a month?
I don't know what people think about it. I mean, I would not mind, not maybe every month, but but we could do it maybe 6 times a year, doing a separate meeting. And I think at least the subcommittee that's interested in the climate action plan, I mean, maybe we host that, but it's a posted AEC meeting. So maybe not everybody needs to come, but the members that are interested, but we have it as a posted meeting. So that's what 6 times a year. And I think that would be plenty. I don't know. I mean, are you guys willing, some of you, to come? It doesn't even have to be the same people each time.
I would, Debbie, I'll help you with it.
Oh, wonderful, Martha.
I'm
And I
glad
know
to come.
Barbara will help, and I'm sure, anybody's willing to jump in and help, and we can make a 6 program proposal and do it that way.
I love it. Let's do a proposal. Just to sort of get your 6 items, and I think it'd be fabulous. And I think if we do it as standalone meetings, it allows us to really focus on business and not have late meetings. And it also allows us to just have the recording of the speaker and be able to just post it as it is with the link. Clean, easy, heavy lift on the planners and the organizers and the speakers, but relatively good return for the effort that we're going to put in.
I'm just wondering about any feedback from anybody else.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool. I look forward to advancing my knowledge. I like it. And I like the idea of building a library that we can use for promotion and referral.
Okay, that's a good one. These are big initiatives, but we've got passionate people and we've got champions, and that's how we get it done.
I need to sign off in a couple minutes. I promise to make it.
I love that.
Did everybody hear Tanya? That the internet connection seemed to be bad.
Yeah, Tanya, you need to put another quarter in your internet service there. You went south on us.
think I definitely, yes, sorry. I was asking, are there any other initiatives we want to propose for 2024?
Well, like we talked about, pursuing beyond the survey, but continuing about next steps about the climate action plan. I mean, that's not the only thing. It's going to be the survey and then continuing moving forward on what's required, what resources are available, where we might get funding, things like that.
This is a smaller item, but it bothers me that the town uses gas-fueled landscape tools. I don't know if it's something we can change. It may not be something that this committee can do, but I would love to see how we can change that.
The leaf blowers and that sort of thing, Martha?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, lawnmowers.
Mhm.
I'm actually doing this research for Hingham right now, Martha, so I can share with you some of this information.
Oh, great.
I'd love to see that too. I mean, whether there's been some advancement in technology where they're a little bit more longer, the batteries are more long lasting.
Yeah, the regulations have to do with mostly properties under an acre.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Tanya, I need you to
can,
sign off.
I can tell you from personal experience that the electrical lawn care equipment works very well. My son bought a riding lawnmower to mow his 2-acre lot, and plus an electric leaf blower, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I helped him do it. It works really, really well. Beautiful.
I think Tanya's frozen. Nope, she unfroze.
Yep. So keep it going. Anything else for 2024?
Do you still have a quorum with Chris signing off, Tanya?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
I have
Martha's
Tom,
on.
myself, Debbie, and Martha.
There's 5 of us.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to a pumpkin here in a minute too.
Yeah, we
I know.
need to close up. So we can, so I think we're probably going to present to the select board after our January meeting. So let's finalize this list in our January meeting. If that sounds good, we'll be able to talk through what we've already put out. We can spend the holidays thinking about anything else we want to pursue, but this is a good start for sure. Okay, let me move us through the agenda so we can end the meeting.
Tanya, before you do, can I ask you that when you're on,
Mhm.
what night is the select board's meeting? That you're going
Tuesdays.
in January? What?
I don't know which one yet, but they're on Tuesdays.
Okay, so you don't know which one then?
No,
Okay, so we might not, you might have to go before we have our next meeting.
no.
Oh,
I know it's going to be the second half of January.
okay, all right, all right.
Okay. So we'll have the January meeting to finalize. And we will have a champion for any initiative, just so that they don't feel like we're putting forward initiatives that we don't have people ready to back. But we'll finalize the list in at the January meeting. Okay, marketing and social media. We're going to skip this because Josh is not here. Data report. Josh isn't here to talk about the charging stations. I think we can just catch up on this. I believe the usage continues to be lower than it was before, but I don't know how much slower. And the solar energy array continues to give us significant savings, but the quantity being produced is less than we would expect. So an action item for me is to understand why from Palmer Capital. So we can move off of those matters not reasonably known in advance. Is there anything? All right. So to ensure that our colleague Tom Daly does not turn into a pumpkin in front of our eyes, which could be embarrassing for everybody, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
Okay. So that's going
Second.
to be moved. I want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy new year. Look forward to seeing you January 11th, where we're going to finalize our list of initiatives for 2024. But I want to congratulate everybody on an excellent year and thank Ginny for all of her help this year in helping move these forward. You have contributed to that $2 million that we are so proud of, as well as the significant impacts and improvement to the environment because of the work that we're doing. So thank you to everybody. It's great having such a
you.
wonderful team. And Ginny, it's been great working with you. And
Been great
everybody enjoy the
working with you all.
holidays. And come back ready to work hard because we've got a lot to do in 2024.
Absolutely. Maybe
All
I'll
right.
see you, Ginny, on EcoFest, huh?
Absolutely. We were already saying we need to touch base with you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait.